and a very good afternoon to all the lovely audience who have tuned in to our parents' station today, the second last day of the year. And I'm back with my book review, the last book review of this year. But before I begin, let me tell you something about Parents Station. Parents are the first teacher for their child. Parents are also the role model for their child. Children are most affected by what their parents say and what they do. Parents want to be the best parents, and there are many advices given by others to how to raise a kid. Even the internet is flooded with do's and don'ts about parenting, and your mind keeps on juggling and flipping what to do and what not to do. And there you are. You just have to become the member on our parent station. Join us, and we are there with you on your parenting journey, along with you all the time, guiding you. And trust me, we believe that you should only have a right approach and you need to be consistent and be loving. And you are going to do your best. So trust yourself and enjoy your parenting journey. It gives me immense pleasure to thank Small Wonder Preschool and the founder of Parent Station, Ms. Harsha Ramaya, for creating this wonderful platform for us. And now I begin with my book review. The book which I'm continuing for the review is Keep Calm and Mummy On by Dr. Tanushri Singh. And today, the chapter from this book, which I have chosen, is Why Should a Child Read Newspaper? Yes, reading, we all want our children to read because reading gives us so many benefits. It is it stimulates learning, vocabulary increases, speaking skills develops, and many much more benefits. Now, in this book, she has given her own experience about her son, that one day her son goes to school and comes home and tell her a story about a terrorist attack. Now, the story is being told by his friend who has just delivered this information just like a Chinese whisper game. And this information is not correct. Now, this is the time when we need to step in and find out what is correct and what is wrong. Your child should not trust that information. We should teach him that there are rumors and we need to find out what is the true thing. Secondly, she has said that the newspaper is a self-aid discovery. Yes, newspaper doesn't have a limited information about just movies or terrorist attacks or murders. It also have information about science, technology, music, education, games, activities, stories about some achievements. It's a lot more. And when your child develops the habit of reading, he will discover his passion, that which is his liking. He'll discover his own passion while reading, and he'll read more on that. You all believe that knowledge is power, and newspaper are the easiest way to assess it. Now let us come that how can we develop or divert our children towards the newspaper. The every morning scenario is mother is in the kitchen, father is reading the newspaper, and the child is playing with the toys. Now, when the child gets bored with the toys, he tries to go and distract the father who is reading the newspaper. Immediately, we say, "Nahi, isko ek dusra paper de do, let him crumple or let him play or tear with it." This is how the very first introduction to newspaper or the child is introduced to the newspaper. Secondly, if the child is doing a homework, The younger one is disturbing. Immediately, the mother gives a newspaper to scribble or write it or tear it or whatever, but do not bother your elder brother and do not disturb him while doing the homework. So these are the incidents which happens with the child with the newspaper. Now, why? How can we do that? We will introduce the children to the newspaper. The very first thing, we should introduce them from the very early age by making them read the children newspaper. Now, when you give them this children newspaper, they feel that we have grown up and they'll just act out like a grown up is reading a newspaper, how adults are reading. And this really thrills them. They like to do this. The second thing is the content in the children newspaper is very age appropriate. The language used is simple and with good pictures. So the child can read that. It is a very nice tool to keep the child engaging for hours and hours. Second thing, it is not going to just work out if you give a newspaper, your duty is over. No, we need to discuss with them. We need to ask them what you read. Just explain me what was the information in that. You need to discuss them. If your child is coming up with some information and is giving you the information, and if you were not aware of that news or that information, your duty is to appreciate them. Your duty is to, oh, I was not aware of this. Oh, wow, this you read in this today's newspaper. You need to appreciate. Secondly, if the child is putting up the questions to you, you have to, you do not have to force your own perspective, but you need to highlight that this is my opinion. You do not have to force your perspective. You just say that, in my opinion, I feel like this. Let the child find out his own views, because our purpose is him to engross in that, find out the facts, and put up his own views. Next is, we need to give them freedom. She has said that we should give them freedom. Our thing is like, our children should have a balanced view for the whole world, all information. No, give them the freedom to read. If they like to play Sudoku, or if they like the comic corner, or if they like the music list which is there, whatever is there, it is eventually the child will go towards reading the newspaper, but allow him to do the one which is appealing him right now. Give him the freedom to read whatever part that he wants to in a correct way, and just encourage him to read further. The next thing is, we need to spike interest in them. Now, suppose your child likes science and you want him to read something related to science. So you have to put up the question to them. Did you see there is one article related to science where they have found out some new species of frog? And this thing is very contagious. They feel the enthusiasm is so contagious that they'll, okay, there is something to find out, and they'll immediately pick up the newspaper and try to find out what is there new in science or in the species or whatever mama has said. So you always need to create that enthusiasm and raise question which will force them to read the newspaper. Now, what we can do is, we can always involve children in engaging activities using newspaper. This will also eventually make them read the newspaper. These are very, very easy activities. I have tried them all almost. The very first activity, if a child is very small, we can give it for tearing and crumpling. That's the basic activity which we do. The next is, ask a child to recognize the alphabets. How many capital A are there? Circle the capital A red, small a blue. Okay, so they will differentiate between the color also. And jitne bhi A mile hain aapko, count them and write. So this is one basic alphabet activity which can be conducted on the newspaper. Just select one portion, one content, and just ask him to find out where are all capital A's and circle them and count them. Next, you can say, you find out the alphabets which are present in your name. Suppose Sharmishta, so S kahan hai, H kahan hai. Just find out in that particular column and circle them. So this is one more activity. Next is word hunt activity. You ask them to, suppose I ask him to find out car. I ask him to find out bus. You ask him to hunt for words. You can also play a Antakshari word game. That is, if you tell him to find car, it ends with R. It's my turn. I'll pick up a word which starts with R. That way you continue to play with your child. So this is one more game. The next game is whenever your child is reading, the next activity is whenever your child is reading and he finds a new word, you give him a good book and you ask him to write that new word and later on find out his meaning. The child is going to create his own dictionary in this way. So when he's reading newspaper and he's getting some new words, he will write those words, then he'll find out the meaning and he has created his own dictionary. You can also ask him to make a scrapbook. Just cut the pictures from the newspaper and paste it. A nice scrapbook. You can ask him, you can always have a picture talk. You can ask him to describe the picture in 5 lines or 6 lines. You can also do that. You can ask him to, we used to do, okay, handwriting achhi nahi hai, so just copy one paragraph. So they can write one paragraph from that newspaper and then write. We can also say if your child is reading any news which is particularly from any state, suppose the news is from Bihar. So you ask the child, once he's conveying you that this thing happened in Bihar, you just have to tell them, come on, let's find out where is Bihar in the map of India. What's the capital? What's the language spoken there? What's the population there? Which is the food which everybody likes to eat there? What is the recent things going on there. So with only reading one content from the newspaper, there is so much learning going to happen once he reads that news. Ask him to find out verbs, nouns, adjective, action words. All this he can find out from the newspaper. There are many things which can be done with the newspaper. So this were the few activities which I mentioned you, which you can do using a newspaper. So there is no the easiest and easily accessible tool, a newspaper, which we often overlook, but it is very helpful, and you should make your child develop the habit of reading newspaper regularly. So this was the information about how to make your child read newspaper and how to engage them into activities using newspaper. I would like to wish everyone in advance Happy New Year to all of you from Parent Station, and do party, but party at home only, no gatherings. We still need to take precautions. So we will have many more New Years ahead to celebrate. Let's take precaution and let's maintain distance and let's celebrate this New Year only with our family, with few members, so that we are safe. Signing off, Shamishta Parmar, the admin of Parent Station Ahmedabad, wishing you all a very happy New Year. Thank you so much.